Hi, I'm Marysol and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm planning for the week of January 22nd through the 28th, and I am going to be using the new Apricot Dream Be Happy box, which is the hack pack from the Happy Planner. And so I have some different mediums and elements that I'm going to be using for this spread. I thought that we can make it look kind of like a scrapbook, bring in a lot of text and dimension to this page, to the spread. So here I am. I am starting off with my Distress Oxide inks, and I am using, if you see, I start off on my actual slick surface before I go on to the page. And so when I do that, that actually helps to make it not only get on the page smoother, but it also not so dark. So it comes out with a more even look or color to it. And that's how I put on my Distress Oxide inks on my pages. I usually always start on my slick surface and then I move in to my pages. Now, with this, you do have to be a little bit careful not to wrinkle or kind of fold your pages. Um, I know I tend to forget that part, which is why I wrinkled my top page a little bit. But nonetheless, it still turned out really good. It looked more like an airbrush than it did like a paint. And I said we were going to use a lot of dimensions and textured paper, so I am going to be using the tissue that came in the box. I've never used a tissue before on my spread, but I know that Happy to Plan Desiree does it, and I really like this. So instead of using a lot of quotes, I thought I'd bring in some of those words as quotes into my pages. So I'm also going to add some of that texture paper. I'm trying to decide if I want to put the pages on the bottom or over it like the texture paper, but I decide ultimately to go to put it over the distress ink but underneath the tissue paper, and that turned out pretty nice. You'll see in a minute. I also do kind of use different adhesives because I was trying to find what adhesive would be best for this paper or the texture paper. I usually use my uh, Tombow adhesive. However, with the tissue paper, I thought it would pull and break it, or rip it. So I went with the glue stick, and this is not a very good glue stick. It is my little one, Kylia. She said, "I have glue stick, Mom, don't worry." And she gave it to me. It wasn't the best. I know I have glue stick, but I couldn't find it, and I haven't been able to find it. So either they took it or Isabella took it, but yeah, that is why I asked her to lend me hers. And this glued a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's really sticking down to the pages, so yeah, that's what we're working with. Still, everything stuck together, and I mean, it looks pretty good, so we're moving on to that top part. I decided to use the adhesive, the Tombow mono adhesive on the page, and then I had to work with that in between those areas where you can see the color. There was glue, and I had to erase that. So I have a glue eraser that I use to kind of take the glue off my pages. That worked well. I haven't had any issues yet. Now I'm going to add some washi tape, and I'm going to just use some washi tape to kind of section my stuff out. As you can see there on the top section, there's like, I took two of those, the boxes, and I put the washi right there. So I'm going to focus kind of my boxes and quotes on that top section and leave the bottom section open. Now I did think about adding lines, but then after adding all the elements to the pages, I did not add the lines. It doesn't mean I can't do it once I start using my planner for the week. If I need the lines, I can always add them in that bottom section. So I wasn't really worried about it. So I'm using that really wide orange washi, and then on top of it, I put on some dots on it. I wanted to add a little bit of an anchor color, so I'm using black. And then on the bottom, I use a really thin washi. It has a little bit of gold speckles. That's from, I believe, not last year, but the year before that. Yes, the year before that, all the falls, I think it is, from Planners Anonymous. It's a really cute washi tape, very, what can I say, simple. I guess it doesn't have a lot of decor on it, or it's not busy. So I thought it went well with this spread. And now, right now, I'm just adding some paper, some like lined paper, book paper onto it to give it kind of that scrapbook look or bullet journal look. It kind of is bullet journal meets scrapbook in a spread. I have this quote, which it's go time, and that is from the new Apricot Dream sticker book. It's a pretty big quote, so I decided to put it on the side. And now I'm going to move on to adding my boxes. I did put these on wax paper before because I'm always scared, since at some, I don't know, a few years ago, I don't know if the Happy Planner changed the paper or the adhesive behind the sticker paper, but I was ripping a lot of my pages. I was either ripping pages or I was ripping stickers. So I decided to start using wax paper, and that has been my go-to since. Now, the sticker book doesn't have a whole lot of boxes, so I decided to take an Archer and Olive, and I believe this is the Floral Power Calligraph, and doodled a box. I'm also using a pretty dark orange, or yeah, from the Mildliner brush pens, and I'm also going to use that to make a box here on the side. Now this box is a little wonky, and that's okay because it did give it kind of that doodly look that comes with bullet journals, and I thought that was okay. I am gonna outline the boxes, so I'll use my, I don't know if I use I use my M&G point 35 to outline the boxes. I have also added some weekly habits and weekly checklists just to monitor how many times I read, and I'm studying, also starting going to the gym because those are my goals for this year. So I want to track how many times I'm going, if I'm able to make it, and yeah, I'm trying to start creating those good habits starting in January. So here I am, like I said, I'm using my M&G pen .35 to go over the boxes. And I really like how it turned out. I think it just gave it a whole nother look to it where, the bullet journal and scrapbook kind of look to it. So I'm ripping a little bit of more paper because I feel like that top portion doesn't needed something to bring it all together. It was a little bit too white. So I probably should have added a little bit of, I don't know, color to that side, or maybe even some textured paper. But I feel like with the book scraps, it looks pretty cool. So on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Like I said, I start on the slick portion of that block, and then I move it onto my page to give it that really airbrushed look. And that's always been my go-to and how I work Distress Oxide inks onto my spread. Now, I always wrinkle my paper because I forget that I need to go one way before I move to the other way, but it's circular motion clockwise and counterclockwise to give it that very seam look, that airbrush look. And I don't want it to get on my other pages, which is why you're seeing me move my slick block and my pages. I have my currently on the other side, and I don't want to get any of that Oxide ink on the other side of my page. Now, in the past, when I use either Distress Oxide inks or my Distress Oxide sprays, I do it in a completely different, in different pages, and then I glue it into my planner. This time around, I decided that I didn't need to do that. I was going to be pretty careful with it so that I can use my pages. So I was very fortunate and lucky. I didn't get any of the Distress Oxide ink on any side of any of the other side of my pages. So that worked out well. So if you are needing or using Distress Oxide inks and you don't want to get it on the other page, just do that trick. That really worked for me. I also in the past have used masking tape, and so I'll place it in an area, like tape it down in an area and use that side or area to do my Distress Oxide ink instead of moving it around, and that's worked too. So you can either tape it down or just move it around your block, and that works well. But you do need a very slick surface. I have the Tom Holtz like glass surface that works really well with this, but if you're working in a really small area like I am, because that's a pretty big block, I found that really small block. I think it was in Joann's, and I've used it ever since. Maybe someday when I have a bigger craft room or a bigger desk, I could bring my glass out and just use that. But for now, that really small block has worked really well. So I'm now adding the washi tape, and again, I'm going to section off the 2 blocks of the pages, but this time I'm going to do the bottom side to kind of give it a little bit of contrast. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm adding my washi. I'm ripping my polka dot washi. I'm going to place that above that orange washi. just to mute it a little bit so it's just not so vibrant, because everything else on the page is muted except for that washi tape. Still, it brought a really nice element to my pages, so that's why I kept it. So it doesn't bother me as much that it's so vibrant, but I don't want everybody's attention to go there. So you can always mute down some washi tape by putting other washi tape on top of it. Again, I'm going to add that thin washi tape on the top of that, so it gives it another kind of different feel and element to the page. And then I'm going to start adding on my scraps. And I thought to cover the days of the week and the dates, the number dates, but I didn't do it on the other side, so I thought that I would just keep it where I didn't cover them. So placing my paper under it, or right under it or on the line of the boxes would be fine. Now I did put that texture paper all the way to the top, but I had done that on the other side too, and I took the Oxide ink on the top as well, so at that point I just left it how it is. Now this was a pretty long plan with me, however I managed to shrink this into 24 minutes. So yeah, there was a lot of thinking, a lot of moving around, a lot of placing, a lot of figuring out how I wanted it to look. But once I got that first page done, the second page came a lot easier to do. However, I was interrupted by the kiddos. Still, we took all that out, so you only get to see actually the decorating of the pages versus me figuring out what I was gonna do and the interruptions. So you can see a glimpse of my currently page. Like I said, I didn't get any Oxide ink on that side, so that was okay. The other thing was that the glue did warp a little my pages, so they don't look bad now after being in my planner, but when they weren't in my planner, they did look a little warpy. So when I do my currently page for February, I'm going to be a little bit careful about it. I'm not going to use any distressed inks, I don't believe, but it's already going to look a little wrinkled because of the glue. So here I am, I'm using that stick glue to put down my scrap book paper on there. As like I said, this is not very good glue. I think that was the best because I was able to move it around as I needed, and you'll see that I'll go back in. Well, I don't know if I took it out, but you'll see that I'll go back in and add some more glue to actually get it to stick down to my pages because it still wasn't sticking down. Now here I add this really large bit of paper, and then I was like, it's really covering a lot of the texture page, which I don't like. So I just rip it right on top of there, and that turned out really cute. So yeah, right now I'm just lifting that up, and that, like I said, that came up like nobody's business. It was not even that stuck, which is why I was able to move it and add some more adhesive. And yeah, I'm using my SIG pen to actually tape down or adhere the rest of that scrapbook piece. So here I am, I'm adding some boxes. And if I didn't mention before, that orange double box is also from the Apricot Dream sticker book. They are double boxes. I decided to flip them because I wanted to, I don't know, make it look fun, and having two double boxes just looked a little boring. So I just flipped that over, and I'm going to use it like a regular box just for plans. Now, I usually tend to do clusters of boxes in different days, not really because I have a lot of plans, just because I like the look of it. And I did not add a lot of boxes, so with whatever I have, I'm just going to write on those. Whatever plans I have, I'll just write them on the box, and I will divide it with lines or some cut lines, perforated lines, doodle perforated lines, I guess, and use it like that. Now, I did add, as you can see, those kind of oval sticker or boxes, and I have top priorities on one side and then today's reminder on the other side, so I can use those as boxes as well. So now again, I'm going to doodle some more boxes, and I'm using that calligraph from Archer and Olive. It's the Flower Power, I believe. But because I have so much orange on this side, I do not use the orange model liner. That doesn't mean that I can't use it later on, maybe on the top part to do some boxes or something, but as of right now, I want to keep the boxes kind of separated in those sections. So either I use the top part that's completely blank for lines or to write on them, or I just leave it blank and don't write on them at all, because I really like how this looks as of right now. So I'm going to use my white pen, and I did this on the other side too, where I kind of whited out the line, but I didn't wait for it to completely dry up, and I went quickly over with my my calligraph, sorry, and wiped out that jelly roll whiteout of the box. So I went over it again, and then somehow I forgot to go over it with the calligraph, so the white isn't that noticeable. But I did it way after, because I took pictures and everything, and that was so sore. It stood out. And I left it like that because it was really sunny when I took, well, not really sunny. There was some sun when I took pictures of my pages. And if you live in Pacific Northwest, you know we don't always get a lot of sun, and the natural sun, well, we don't get a lot of sun during this time of the year. And natural sun is just it's such a game changer when you take pictures. So that is why after taking it with natural sun, I didn't even have to tweak my pictures. All I had to do was take them and crop them for Instagram and for my thumbnail, and it just looks so much nicer. So yeah. So I'm adding what you see here is me adding the sparkles that I had added on that other page to this page, so to all come together. And this is pretty much my spread. So if you want to see me using Distress Oxide inks in my spreads, please let me know below. Comment, like, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye.